I love Naruto. I have for more than half of my life. It's been with me for 13 years and I've known it longer than I've known most people. Like I'm sure a lot of you also feel, Naruto is a very special story to me. It's one of the first anime I watched, and usually my favorite part of the day was getting home at 5 p.m. to watch a new episode. It's been a story I've watched, played, read, talked about, and indulged content in for years, and it's one of my top 3 stories ever. So even though I know I'm gonna sound like a thoroughly insane person throughout most of this video, in a lot of ways I'm making this video for 2 reasons. This is a video I wanted to make to put all my feelings, emotions I've experienced watching the series into words, and share that with all of you. And finally, to answer a question I've been asking myself for years at this point, and that is, why do I love Naruto? It's a weird question, I know, but I've spent countless combined hours consuming content about this series. I have Naruto-inspired tattoos on my body, and I've bought more Naruto merchandise than I care to admit. So what about this story made me feel the way I do about it? You know, except the violent neurodivergence, but we'll ignore that for now. So I hope you'll sit down and join me for this undoubtedly long video about a story which, for me, and maybe for you too, is so captivating, and why, for me, it's my perfect story. Now, I'm not a genius when it comes to narrative analysis, but I don't think you need to be to see that Naruto's writing and the way their characters are set up are special. Most characters in the show carry an inherent trauma, a darkness and pain caused by the brutal shinobi world they live in. And this trauma isn't just for tragedy's sake. It shows how people can be twisted into something unrecognizable by the pain they endure. Their suffering pushes them to existential crossroads. Pain makes them reject the world and everyone around them. It destroys their trust in people and forces them to retreat inward. They isolate themselves, drown themselves in pain, and eventually their darkness consumes them. This trauma doesn't just shape their lives, it ripples out, affecting everyone around them and the larger story itself. So I want to go through the story of Naruto and try to explain exactly what I mean and what I think Kishimoto was trying to say. Zabuza and Haku. They were the first major threats in Naruto and the very first example of Kishimoto's brilliance. In the beginning, we meet Naruto as well as his teammates Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi Sensei. And the Land of Waves arc introduces us to those villains and Naruto's first ideological battle featuring the infamous Talk no Jutsu. Zabuza and Haku saw ninja as mere tools, nothing more than weapons for others to wield. Ninjas weren't people, just instruments of destruction and pain. Though it wasn't explicitly stated yet, the theme of the cycle of hatred begins here. Haku cared deeply for Zabuza, but Zabuza mostly saw Haku as a tool. Yet Haku's love drove him to protect Zabuza, making their story heartbreakingly somber, ending with Haku's death. It was here when Naruto started changing people. Not because he was strong, but because of the kind of person he was. He was even about to beat Haku with the power of the Nine Tails, but refused to beat him that way, showing how Naruto wasn't willing to let himself succumb to hatred, even if it meant winning him the fight. And even regardless of how angry Naruto was, especially after Haku hurt Sasuke, Naruto still tries to reach out to Haku. He still tries to reach out to the small bit of humanity he saw in Haku in their earlier conversation. And he does the same thing with Zabuza. His words managed to reach Zabuza, and this was the first time Naruto was successful in changing someone. The next time being when he faced Gaara. Gaara was introduced as part of the Chunin exams alongside the Konoha 13 and his siblings Temari and Kankuro. During the exams, Orochimaru attacks the Hidden Leaf village and Naruto goes off to fight Gaara. And Gaara is the second character Naruto reaches out to, and he's absolutely the right person to do it. And I love the role that Gaara plays in Naruto's life, or at least in this arc. Gaara, like Naruto, is a Jinchuriki. His mother died giving birth to him, and his family despises him and treats him like a monster. Even the one person who ever really showed him compassion, his uncle Yashamaru, tried to kill him, which was one thing about Gaara's backstory that even at 9 years old, absolutely broke my heart. Gaara embodied hatred and power. He was obsessed with destruction and he clung to his rage because nobody ever saw him as human. They only saw him as the monster Shukaku. His pain and hatred fueled him, pushing him to hate the world and shut out love and connection because those feelings only ever hurt him. Until Naruto showed up, the one person who saw his pain for what it truly was and validated it, and him as someone suffering unbearably. Naruto is once again successful at reaching out to someone using his power of compassion, love, and connections to pull them out of the darkness. He manages to pull Gaara out of his own darkness, and finally, once again, Gaara is able to feel love. Love for those around him and love for his siblings, no longer a vessel of hate. But while Naruto was fighting Gaara, the third Hokage dies, sacrificing himself to stop his former student Orochimaru, and after the funeral, Itachi Uchiha appears, Sasuke's older brother. From the very beginning, we knew Sasuke as having one goal: to kill a certain someone, although we never really got many details on who that person is, and then we find out that that person is his brother. 4 years prior to the events of the series, Itachi slaughters the entire Uchiha clan and has Sasuke walk in on him killing their parents. But Itachi was in the village for a completely different reason, unrelated from his little brother, or so we thought at this point. He was looking for Naruto, or at least I should say the nine tails within Naruto, not Naruto himself. And when Itachi and Sasuke finally face off after years apart, Sasuke goes nuclear, but Itachi treats him like an insect, barely considering him a threat. All Sasuke's training meant nothing. You can feel Sasuke's helplessness and feelings of inadequacy. He's too weak to grab even Itachi's attention for too long, and I genuinely felt bad for him after this happened. He was mentally broken from Itachi's Tsukuyomi Genjutsu, so Sasuke required special medical ninjutsu to recover, and we finally get into my favorite female character in the entire series, Lady Tsunade, the granddaughter of the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju. Naruto and his master Jiraya set out to find her and convince her to become the fifth Hokage. When Naruto meets Tsunade, she seems very immature, but you can also tell that she's deeply wounded. Her drinking and gambling seem like coping mechanisms for profound pain. She lost her fiancé Dan and her brother Nawaki. Both of them dreamed of becoming Hokage, but their deaths shattered those dreams. And the last image she had of either of them was their corpses with their blood dripping from their hands. This causes Tsunade to develop hemophobia, a fear of blood, rendering her unable to fight or use her medical ninjutsu, which was world-renowned at that point. Seeing Naruto, a talentless young boy with the same dream, was almost too much for her to believe. She thought ambition like his would only lead to his death, and honestly, from Tsunade's perspective, becoming Hokage was essentially a death sentence. She was scarred and traumatized by losing her loved ones right before her eyes. Her rage towards Naruto wasn't dislike, it was pain and trauma, and fear reopening old wounds. In the climax of the arc, Naruto is struck by a fatal attack from Kabuto, Orochimaru's henchman, and right before her eyes, Tsunade witnesses yet another hopeful young man lying near death. But Naruto promised her that he refuses to die until he becomes the Hokage, and he intends to keep that promise. He wakes up from near death clutching the necklace Tsunade wore for Dan and Nawaki, a symbol of their dreams. Naruto wins their bet, and it's a beautiful moment of hope and faith. Tsunade learns how to trust and entrust her hopes to Naruto. He stays true to his values and hard work, and she becomes the Hokage, inspired by him. And this arc was beautiful. It's one of my favorite arcs in the entire series, to be honest with you. Kishimoto might suck at writing women sometimes, but when he locks in, he really locks in. But the good times don't last. After Tsunade becomes the fifth Hokage and Sasuke recovers, he's haunted by his weakness compared to Naruto and his brother. He's then approached by Orochimaru's Sound 4. They offer him training for more power, and Sasuke accepts, even after Kakashi warning him that the path of hatred will only lead to more pain. This prompts Naruto, Shikamaru, Choji, Neji, and Kiba to chase after Sasuke, not allowing their comrade to be taken by Orochimaru. After the boys get past the Sound 4 and Kimimaro, Naruto finally catches up to Sasuke. The two start fighting, and I don't need to tell you how amazing that fight was. Like, it's one of my favorite fights of all time, and I'm not even joking. I used to watch it every single day for a month over and over again. making my parents extremely concerned, but that's not important right now. But this fight was especially heartbreaking for a few reasons. Up until this point, we've seen Naruto be successful at changing every single person he comes into contact with. His words, who he is, his ambitions usually reach that person in some way or another. And don't get me wrong, Sasuke did acknowledge Naruto, but Naruto's words couldn't reach Sasuke because Naruto didn't understand what Sasuke's pain was. Yes, they both didn't have parents at that point, but Naruto never had parents to begin with, and Sasuke did, but they were taken away from him, killed right in front of him. So if you're Naruto, it's easy to see how connections could be a source of strength, but if you're Sasuke, it's easy to see how connections could be a source of pain. And that's just where the gap between the two just couldn't be bridged, because Sasuke was right. Naruto couldn't understand. He couldn't understand what loss felt like. So what gave Naruto the right to speak on what Sasuke should or shouldn't be doing? But Naruto's conviction and will was enough for Sasuke to acknowledge him. But in the end, Naruto still lost that fight. Naruto didn't have the strength because he didn't have the answer. And I couldn't explain this back then, but that scene of Sasuke walking into the woods, into the darkness alone, was deeply saddening for me at the time. And seeing a character I really like just walk off into the darkness alone with no one, plunging himself into darkness. And what was equally as sad was the fact that Naruto's normally goofy demeanor was replaced by sadness, knowing he failed his friend and broke his promise to Sakura. It was devastating and a very bleak emotional note that closes part 1. And then part 2. This was really weird because part 2 went off air for a while, about a year and a half maybe, which was weird again considering the episodes were airing in 2015, at least in my country, and Shippuden dubbing was already well underway, so I don't know why they took that break, but anyway. Naruto returns after training with Jiraya for 3 years, now 15, stronger and better than ever. And Shippuden doesn't give you any time to rest because immediately as soon as the series begins, we find out that Gaara had been made Kazekage and was taken out by Deidara. Great. Naruto and a few other shinobi make their way to the hidden sand village to save Gaara from the Akatsuki, the same group Itachi belonged to. A group that were hunting the tailed beasts for reasons we would only get answers to 450 episodes later. We then meet Granny Chiyo, a sand village elder who despises the leaf and distrusts their ninja. Her family and her grandson Sasori's parents were killed by Kakashi's father, the White Fang of the Leaf. Chiyo initially refuses the help from the leaf, but joins forces with them once she learns that her grandson Sasori is also a part of the Akatsuki. They find Gaara's location, but his tailed beast had already been extracted, and Jinchuriki die without their tailed beasts. Deidara flies away with Gaara's corpse. Naruto and Kakashi give chase to them while Sakura and Granny Chiyo fight Sasori. Also, side note, that fight is actually really good. It's one of my favorite fights in the entire show, and it's probably a lot better than a lot of you remember. It is so good, especially in the anime. It is really and it's the last time puppet ninjutsu is ever relevant again for the entire series. Sasori's third Kazekage puppet, Granny Chiyo's 10 Shikamatsu puppets, Sasori's Art of 100 puppets, it's all so good. Seeing Chiyo use her puppet ninjutsu and use Sakura as a puppet during the fight, it's so good. It's better than you remember. Just go watch it. After you finish this video, go watch it. It's really good. Anyway, Naruto and Kakashi eventually recover Gaara's body, but at that point, it's too late. We saw throughout the entire arc that Naruto's emotions were very erratic. He was clearly very affected by what happened to Gaara, and once they say that it's too late and nothing can be done for him, he has a full-on meltdown. And this is one of Naruto's best scenes in the entire anime and manga for me. In that moment, we get to see the years of trauma, pain, and sadness that Naruto built up come out in that one moment. They all pour out of him as he screams about the injustice. He questions who had the right to make someone a Jinchuriki, to trap a monster inside someone else and make them suffer. What right did they have to change someone else's fate and destiny? And it's really heartbreaking and beautiful seeing Naruto finally break down, showing the raw agony he rarely ever reveals. And it's made worse by the fact that not only could he not save Gaara, but he also couldn't save Sasuke all those years ago, sobbing and saying that even all these years later, nothing's changed. And it's really, really heartbreaking and really good. And Naruto's grief even reaches Granny Chiyo. Granny Chiyo always planned to revive Gaara with her reanimation jutsu. No, not the one you're thinking of. She sacrifices herself for Gaara. She admits that the way that she lived was a mistake. Holding old grudges and not accepting help from others and other villages wasn't the way to live. And seeing a boy, a shinobi from the Hidden Leaf, cry over a hidden sand shinobi just made that even clearer to her, and it was a really beautiful scene. She entrusts Naruto and Gaara to look after each other, to make a brighter future in which every shinobi from every village can trust every other shinobi. She sees a brighter future for Naruto's generation than what her generation was able to accomplish, and she believes in his compassion and ability to reach others, and that he can really build a world without hate, a new, brighter shinobi world. And look, I don't know what Kishimoto puts in his stories, but chapter 279 hits in a way that I just cannot explain. Like the first panel, we see Naruto standing with all those close to him, all those who made him believe in the power of compassion and connections, and then the panel switches to a child Gaara, alone in the desert. And then we see Naruto run through the people who meant everything to him, just to reach Gaara. He runs towards Gaara and offers him the exact same warmth that Gaara never had. And I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. Like, my heartstrings have been violently pulled out of my body. It's literally just straight emotional damage at this point. And yeah, the Kazekage Rescue Arc is one of the weaker arcs in Naruto Shippuden. I'm not gonna lie about that. It's one of the arcs I rarely ever go back and watch, but when I do, it still does a really good job as a standalone arc. But the emotional damage doesn't end here, because the next real major story beat was Jiraiya going undercover in the Hidden Rain after getting intel that the leader of the Akatsuki might be there. And things take a very hard left turn, so to speak. Jiraiya runs into his old students Konan and what he believes to be Yahiko. He tries to retreat after realizing that, he's not prepared for this. Surprise, the leader of the Akatsuki wasn't just one person. It was 6 bodies all moving in unison, all controlled by someone who we now know to be Nagato, each with a unique ability and shared vision, meaning they basically had no blind spots as long as they were few together. And I'm gonna be real with you, Jiraiya's death was not one I saw coming. I'm not even gonna lie to you. You cried, I cried, we all cried. And if you show me someone who says they didn't cry, I will immediately show you a liar. Right after Jiraiya's turned into a pincushion by pain, we cut over to Sasuke, who right after the time skip got really strong. Like really strong. And then he kills Orochimaru, absorbs him, and thinks he's ready to fight his big brother. He recruits Soigetsu, Karin, and Drugo and forms Mom, can we get Team 7? No, we have Team 7 at home. Sasuke fights Deidara in order to find the location of Itachi, and once he gets that information, goes to find him. And finally, we get the fight that we've been waiting for and has been built up since the beginning of part 1. Sasuke versus Itachi. Yeah, I thought Sasuke was gonna get slaughtered, not even gonna lie to you. And he was one of my favorite characters at that point, so I really didn't want him to die, but I genuinely saw no way for him to win. But the fight really didn't disappoint. It was really good. I loved it so much. And mostly because we finally got to see what Itachi looks like when he's trying. I mean, he wasn't really trying, but you know what I mean. And the fight peaks when Sasuke uses Kirin and Itachi blocks it with his Susanoo. Itachi explained to Sasuke that the only way for Mangekyo Sharingan to evolve into an eternal Mangekyo Sharingan was to take the eyes of someone you have a blood relation to, and so he was trying to take Sasuke's eyes, or so we thought. And so, as Itachi is about to get Sasuke's eyes, he collapses on the floor, and Sasuke technically wins the fight? Next time we see Sasuke, he wakes up with Tobi there, who had at this point been revealed to be Madara Uchiha. Tobidara explains to Sasuke that everything that he's believed ever since he was 7 years old has been a lie. He explains that Itachi was actually a good guy. And I think from this point on is when people start disliking Sasuke because he gets a lot more edgy, I guess. But to be fair, I do think Sasuke does operate on the knowledge he has at the time. But given his life circumstances, he was genuinely messed up in the head, so you can't really blame him for coming to the conclusions that he did. Yeah, destroy the Hidden Leaf Village was the antithesis of what his brother was doing, but you can see how he logically got to that conclusion, and even says how he wants to see the world through his own eyes and through his own vision and not his brother's. So how he acted was mostly fair, especially if you take into account what his role in the story in terms of the themes of the story are, which I'll explain later. But I want to touch on the story between Itachi and Sasuke, because they are really good, compelling stories and their dynamic actually works really well. At least to me. Itachi was the golden boy of the Uchiha. He was the pride of the family and genuinely insanely gifted. He was way too mature for his age and burdened with the impossible task at only 14 years old to slaughter his entire clan to prevent a civil war. And he was told to hurt the one person he loved most in the world, his little brother, all for what he thought to be the greater good. And Sasuke was always trying to keep up with his brother, always in his shadow, trying his best to make his dad proud. And then, at 8 years old, he sees his entire clan massacred by his own big brother. And he lived his entire life consumed by hate, training to avenge his family. Even after joining Team 7 and feeling that his bond with Naruto and Sakura was really strong, he still couldn't let go with the past. Seeing Naruto grow so fast just made him feel left behind. So he leaves, chases power, and falls into Orochimaru's hands. And after learning the truth, after realizing Itachi was trying to save the leaf and not destroy it, Sasuke spirals. He misinterprets Itachi's sacrifice, and now it's not about vengeance on his brother, it's about vengeance for his brother. He sets his sights on the leaf and again misinterprets what Itachi's sacrifice was about. Again, he has a complete shift, but still driven by pain. Also, I don't know what Kishimoto was thinking, having Jiraya and Itachi die on the same day, but Kishimoto, sincerely from me to you. But those deaths directly lead us into the Pain and 5 Kage Summit arcs. Starting with Pain, we realize that Nagato created the 6 paths of Pain using corpses and Rinnegan rods, each one with an ability of the Rinnegan. Meanwhile, Naruto, grieving Jiraya's death, is training to master Sage Mode, and Pain destroys the Hidden Leaf Village while Naruto's gone. And when the fight happens, Naruto manages to take down the first 5 paths of Pain, but when his Sage chakra runs out, Pain finally takes him down and asks him one question. Why is your justice more valid than mine? Aren't you trying to do the same thing that I'm trying to do to you? Kill me for revenge. After what happened to you, after you went through the same pain. Nagato tells Naruto that people will just never understand each other, that pain is inevitable, so if the world must suffer, let him be the one who inflicts that pain on everyone so that people finally get it. And the scariest part of this is that Naruto can't answer him, because again, he's kinda right. But then Hinata steps in and tries to protect Naruto, she gets hurt, and Naruto loses it. He unleashes the full force of the 9 tails, succumbing to hatred, succumbing to the very thing Pain was warning him about. Hate, pain, the cycle.
Do you hate me now?
And right before the whole 9 tails takes over Naruto, Minato's chakra comes out and redoes the seal. He finally meets his father for the first time in 16 years, and it's so beautiful seeing Naruto finally meet his dad. It wasn't for long, but having his dad entrust him with the future, believing in Naruto that even though he doesn't have an answer yet, he believed that Naruto could still find an answer. He fully believes in Naruto and everything Naruto stands for, and entrusts him to achieve something not even Minato himself could do. We also find out that Jiraiya was technically the one who named Naruto, so thanks, Kishimoto. And after Naruto takes down the last Pain, Tendo, he goes to speak to Nagato, and Nagato tells Naruto about his life and what brought him to be what he is today. We get more context about Nagato's backstory: Nagato, Konan, and Yahiko. 3 kids from the war-torn Hidden Rain, orphaned, alone, and starving. They then meet Jiraiya, the first Hidden Leaf ninja who didn't try to kill them. Instead, Jiraya trained them, loved them, and they became like family. Nagato awakened the Rinnegan, and Jiraiya believed that he was the child of prophecy, the one who would either save the world or destroy it. And he believed it was him because the last person who had the Rinnegan, at least to the legend, was the Sage of the Six Paths, the father of all shinobi. Eventually, after teaching them everything they needed to know to defend themselves, Jiraiya went back to the Hidden Leaf village, and the three formed a group whose mission was peace to the ninja world, and this organization was called the Akatsuki. Then came Hanzo of the Salamander. He saw them as a threat and kidnapped Konan. He gave Nagato a choice: kill Yahiko or Konan dies. Yahiko chose for them. He threw himself into Nagato's blade and Nagato breaks. And in his grief, Obito, posing as Madara, shows up and reoffers him the plan to capture all the tailed beasts and create a weapon so powerful it'll force peace through fear. And here's the thing, there was no clear answer to the question that Nagato asked Naruto, but after hearing what Nagato had to say, Naruto knew that the answer wasn't more pain. The answer wasn't vengeance or fear, it was compassion. Learning, growing, moving forward without repeating the cycle. Naruto saw it with Gaara, with Chiyo, with Jiraiya, through his own life, and maybe he didn't know the full answer, but he knew where to start. And Nagato was moved by this. He entrusted Naruto with his dream and Jiraiya's. And yet again, after so long, after all the pain Naruto's been through, he's still able to change people. He's still able to overcome his hate. He's still able to move forward, and he's still able to reach out a hand of compassion and not a blade of hate. That's what made Naruto so strong and what kept changing everyone around him and Nagato. But right after this arc, we get into the 5 Kage Summit arc. After learning the truth about Itachi, Sasuke joined forces with the Akatsuki and Tobidara. His first mission was to capture the 8 Tails, the Jinchuriki of the Hidden Cloud, who also happened to be the little brother of the Raikage. After learning the culprit was the Akatsuki and an Uchiha, he then calls a 5 Kage Summit, bringing all 5 Kage from every single nation to have a meeting. The Raikage, Mei the Mizukage, Gaara the Kazekage, then acting as Hokage, Danzo, and the Tsuchikage of the Hidden Stone, Onoki. Sasuke then invades the 5 Kage Summit after Danzo, the person he believes most responsible for the suffering Itachi went through. Sasuke eventually kills Danzo, but just before that, Tobidara declares the 4th Great Ninja War on all 5 great nations, after they refused to hand over the remaining 2-tailed beasts they needed, the 8 and 9 tails, inside Killer Bee and Naruto. Apparently, Sasuke had failed in capturing the 8 tails inside Killer Bee, and Killer Bee escaped. Tobidara also reveals that the whole reason behind the Akatsuki gathering all the tailed beasts was their project Tsuki no Me, Tobidara's plan to revive the 10 tails, the aggregate of all the tailed beasts, and become its Jinchuriki like the Sage of the Six Paths was. He then intended to launch a super genjutsu called the Infinite Tsukuyomi using the 10 tails power, a genjutsu where he reflects his eye off the moon's surface and places everyone on Earth under a Tsukuyomi. Essentially, a world of dreams, a world of peace, a world of only love, but a world of no free will. From here on out is a lot of setup for the 4th Great Ninja War. We see Naruto and Killer Bee being sent to a private island where they train, and Naruto masters his 9 tails chakra and manages to meet his mother Kushina in the process. We learn about what happened on that day his parents died 16 years ago, and I'm not gonna go over everything, but we know that when Kushina was giving birth, the masked man, or Tobidara, snuck into the village and kidnapped Kushina after threatening to kill baby Naruto. He unleashed the 9 tails, which Kushina was the Jinchuriki for at the time, and wreaked havoc on the Hidden Leaf village. Later on in the night, after beating the masked man, Minato seals half of the 9 tails inside himself and half of the 9 tails inside his son Naruto. But the 9 tails kills him and Kushina in the process, entrusting Naruto to figure out how to use the 9 tails by himself. Right after this, the 4th Great Ninja War begins properly. On one side, we have the Shinobi Alliance with a size of 80,000 shinobi. On the other other side, we have Kabuto, who by this point implanted himself with the cells of Orochimaru as well as the Sound Five, and his army of reanimated shinobi. And Tobidara, who at this point acquired a new Rinnegan and had an army of over 100,000 white Zetsu, all amped by Hashirama Senju's cells. Halfway through the war, Kabuto reanimates the real Madara Uchiha, who apparently was dead and wasn't the masked man. At this point, we had no idea who the masked man was, but later on it is revealed to be Obito Uchiha, an old friend of Kakashi and someone who was thought to be dead decades ago in the Third Great Ninja War. So we had three very powerful men with three very dangerous ideologies, and the entire shinobi world standing in their way. And it was at this point when Naruto managed to befriend Kurama, the nine-tails inside of him, who finally told him his name. Kurama, who had essentially been watching Naruto throughout his entire life, grew proud of the person Naruto had become, impressed with how he never succumbed to hatred and was genuinely moved by the type of person Naruto was. And that speaks to how amazing Naruto is at changing people and just how strong his convictions are. The Nine-Tails was said to be pure hatred. He only ever came out when Naruto was angry, succumbed to hatred or despair. He's tried to take over Naruto's body a number of times by now, but at this point, Naruto could even change a creature who was all hatred, a creature who had no trust in humans, and Naruto managed to quell all that hatred inside Kurama just because of the person he was. So at this point in the war, Madara had defeated the 5 Kage, and it was time for him to join up with Obito. But before we get there, let's take a step back and actually talk about what the story was actually saying at this point. What was the message it was trying to get across? And yes, I gave a brief recap of Naruto's events, but I also wanted to remind you of the deep, harrowing stories tucked throughout the entire world. So many of the characters Naruto changed rejected life. They rejected the world and drowned themselves in pain and bitterness. But eventually they saw the light. They saw something waiting for them beyond the darkness. And that something was Naruto. Naruto, the knucklehead. Naruto, the one with no intelligence, no talent. Yes, again, I know about the Indra Ashura six-path stuff. Shut up, I'll get to it. I'm gonna get to it. He had every reason to hate the world. Like Gaara, he was alone. Like Nagato, he was misunderstood. And like Sasuke, he carried pain he couldn't express. But the reason Naruto didn't fall into hatred was Iruka Sensei, the first person to see him and treat him like a little brother and not a monster. Naruto's power didn't come from bloodlines. It came from his heart. His strength was connections. So whenever he saw someone reject that, whether it was Zabuza, Haku, Gaara, he fought for them. Not to defeat them, but to reach out to them, to remind them that the people who shaped them were important, to pull them back from the brink. Zabuza admitted he loved Haku because Naruto refused to accept that shinobi were just tools. He forced Zabuza to feel, and he gave Gaara the very thing he never had, someone who understood. So then came Obito. By the time we hit the war arc, Obito had become a symbol of total rejection of everything Naruto stood for. He was done with the world, done with hope, done with Kakashi, and oh, Kakashi and Obito, their dynamic is one of the most heartbreaking in the entire series. Obito, when he was a kid, was kind, emotional, clumsy, and nothing like the typical Uchiha. Kakashi, on the other hand, was a genius, raised by a legend and hardened by the trauma of watching his father, Sakumo, fall apart under the weight of disgrace and shame. Kakashi feared breaking the rules, but Obito feared breaking his values. When Rin was kidnapped, their philosophies clashed. Duty versus love. Kakashi wanted to stick to the mission, but Obito couldn't leave Rin behind. And it was in Obito's words, "Those who abandon their friends are worse than scum," that changed Kakashi forever. Obito died, saving Kakashi, and gave him his Sharingan. His death haunted Kakashi and shaped him into the person he is today. But Obito didn't die. White Zetsu dragged him to Madara, and after watching Rin die, at Kakashi's hand no less, Obito snapped. The boy with the heart turned into the man with the mask. And the rest, you already know. He started the Fourth Great Ninja War, tried to capture the Tailed Beast, become the 10 Tails Jinchuriki, But emotionally, the war was about one thing: Naruto versus Obito. Because Obito is Naruto without hope. Obito wants him to admit it's all pointless. He keeps trying to shatter Naruto's spirit, not just to win, but to validate his own pain, to prove that anyone, even Naruto, breaks under enough darkness. But Naruto doesn't. He keeps pushing, he keeps believing. He sees Obito for what he is, a broken mirror of himself. And when Obito falls, defeated, lost, in doubt and pain, it's Kakashi who finishes what he started. Kakashi tells him why they believe in Naruto. Because Naruto always remembers his past. He holds on to the people who saved him. He leans on others when he's weak, something Obito forgot long ago, something pain made him afraid to do again. Obito didn't ever stop feeling, he just chose to run from it. The infinite Tsukuyomi was escapism, Obito's way of erasing a world too painful to face. But Naruto couldn't accept that. Everything Obito rejected, bonds, memories, pain, healing, Naruto cherished all of that, because that's how peace happens, not by pretending pain doesn't exist, but by choosing to live in a reality with that pain and choose to grow from it. Okay, now I know you noticed I left out Itachi and Sasuke, but that's because their story is the last piece of the puzzle I'm trying to build for you guys in this video. So, to continue where I left off with Sasuke and Itachi, during the war, Itachi was revived with the reanimation Edo Tensei. He meets Naruto and regrets not telling Sasuke the truth sooner. He realizes his mistake wasn't technically killing his clan, it was trying to shoulder everything alone, just like Naruto and Sasuke. Itachi tried to handle it all by himself, and in doing so, he lost everything. After meeting up with Sasuke, he then comes to fight Kabuto. And this one's kind of underrated actually, because Kabuto had another identity crisis, just like Obito. He had been a spy all his life, never knowing who he really was, and working with Obito pushed him only further into that spiral. He's the last person you'd expect to have a satisfying redemption arc, and yet he kinda did. Itachi uses Izanami. Flawed jutsu concept aside, that was the only thing that could have saved Kabuto, because Izanami forces you to accept yourself, something Itachi never really did until after death. And finally, Itachi and Sasuke get their moment. Itachi shares his memories, admitting his mistake, and tells Sasuke he'll love him no matter what. No more half-truths, no more burdens, just love. And then Sasuke revives Orochimaru because he wants to speak to the previous 4 Hokage and question them. Orochimaru performs the Edo Tensei and asks them, what does it mean to be a shinobi? What is a village and what do they stand for? And their answers reshape him. Sasuke takes in their words and he reflects on the way Itachi lived and died. And the conclusion he reaches is simple but radical. The conclusion he reaches is that the current system and the Kage who uphold it are responsible for the endless cycle of war and hatred. That's the major theme of Naruto's final arc. Everyone's searching for an answer to peace, and Sasuke's answer is revolution. A complete severing of the past, a dismantling of the shinobi world, a future born not from cooperation, but from destruction. He believes shinobi will never truly understand each other, so he offers himself as the villain, concentrating all the world's hatred on a single figure. Just like Itachi bore the burden of hate in silence, Sasuke misunderstands that sacrifice as the ideal. To him, a true Hokage isn't someone loved and acknowledged, but someone hated and isolated, a silent protector drenched in shadow. Sasuke becomes the very embodiment of all the hate the shinobi world had ever come to know. He decides that the past is meaningless, cooperation is a fantasy, compassion breeds more pain, and love is what chained his brother down for those 7 long years. Sasuke doesn't reject Itachi's actions, he misinterprets them. He sees power in the solitude, not tragedy. He believes he must be the one to accept pain and take the world's hate onto himself. And so, he becomes Naruto's final challenge. Naruto's beliefs versus Sasuke's antithesis. This isn't just a personal clash, it's an eternal battle, echoing across generations, the fight of Indra and Ashura, born one last time. See, I told you I was going to get to it. Okay, so talking about the series from a more cosmic scale now. Kaguya, Hagoromo, Indra, and Ashura. Kaguya was the origin, a celestial being who consumed the fruit of the divine tree and gave birth to chakra on earth. She wanted peace, but not through unity. Like Madara, she chose control, infinite Tsukuyomi, enslavement through illusion. Her sons Hagoromo and Hamura sealed her away. Hagoromo, the sage of the six paths, would eventually pass on his teachings to his own sons, Indra, who believed in power, and Ashura, who believed in love and cooperation. Indra felt betrayed when Ashura was chosen to inherit Ninshu and his father's power. The brothers clashed, and their souls would continue to reincarnate for generations, locked in the same cycle of opposition until Hashirama and Madara. Hashirama and Madara were born in an age of bloodshed, but they both dreamed of peace. As children, they laughed, shared losses, but tragedy struck when Hashirama's brother killed Madara's last surviving brother, Izuna. Madara fell into despair and lost all faith in others, and clung only to his own strength. Eventually, the Senju and the Uchiha clans founded the Hidden Leaf Village, but when Hashirama was chosen as Hokage over him, Madara spiraled even further. He found the stone tablet which was altered by Black Zetsu, the will of Kaguya, and became convinced that peace could only be achieved by merging the powers of Indra and Ashura and casting the infinite Tsukuyomi over the world. Madara became a man who couldn't entrust anything to anyone. He wanted peace, but only if he was the one who controlled it, and like Kaguya, he chose domination. He manipulated Obito, gave Nagato his eyes, and tried to puppet reality itself to achieve a dream world, a lie. But in the end, he was a pawn. Black Zetsu used him to resurrect Kaguya, and Kaguya returned as the final villain. And she wasn't just the final villain in terms of plot, but in ideology, the ultimate expression of do it alone, that mentality. Her defeat symbolized the failure of domination, isolation, and selfish peace. So that brings us back to Naruto and Sasuke. And yet, after defeating Kaguya, gaining the Rinnegan, power from Hagoromo, and saving the world, Sasuke still didn't understand. He saw failure, yes, but not fault entirely. He saw their plans crumble, but still believed their ideals held weight. He just thought they hadn't gone far enough. Sasuke became an amalgamation of all those before him. Madara's hopelessness, Obito's isolation, Itachi's mistakes, and Kaguya's need for control. He, ironically, became the shinobi system itself, a revolution born from the womb of hate. He wanted to kill the past, erase the tailed beasts, wipe out the Kage, reject friendship and memories, and everything had to burn. And from its ashes, a new world would rise, with him as its sole guardian. And then there was Naruto. Naruto learned from those who failed. He saw every villain, every brother, everyone of the past who lost their way did it because they rejected connection. Naruto believes that compassion is strength, that having others behind you makes you more powerful, that peace is built, not enforced, that love is painful, yes, but essential. Don't burn what you could have been entrusted with. Naruto intends to honor it, and so the two clash. And the battle isn't just fists and jutsu, it's ideology, the final embodiment of 1,000 years of conflict. The fight that echoes back to the gods and brothers and blood. Two brothers, two paths, the same story over and over again. Until now. In their final clash, at the same place where their first fight took place, it wasn't just a battle, it was a decision. A decision to end the cycle once and for all. Sasuke's outlook came from a fundamental misunderstanding of his journey, a journey that mirrored Naruto's in so many ways. Where Naruto saw strength, Sasuke saw weakness. Where Naruto saw mistakes, Sasuke saw wisdom. Where Naruto found growth in the past, something to learn and treasure, Sasuke only saw pain, something that needed to be cut away. But then, as they lie there at the end of their battle, at the Valley of the End, bloodied and broken, unable to move anything but their mouths, something shifts. Naruto, even being in that state, doesn't stop reaching out, and Sasuke argues, still resisting, and Naruto, just like he always has, says softly, "You're my friend. I can't ignore you when you're trying to take everything on by yourself, because when you hurt, I hurt." And those simple words, unwavering, finally reach Sasuke. Sasuke realizes what he had never been able to see, that Naruto had always been walking ahead of him, and that he had mistaken his strength for weakness. Earlier I said Sasuke saw Team 7 as his family, and when he saw himself lacking behind Naruto, He blamed that on his feelings, his love. He believed that was what was holding him back. But that was never the truth, because Naruto never let go of his bonds. He saw strength in compassion, while Sasuke was pushed by hate. First for Itachi, then for the Leaf, then for the entire world. Naruto was pushed by love and his desire to protect people he cared about, no matter how far they fell. And that's why Sasuke became weak, because his ideals were weak. Naruto inherited the will of those who came before him. He carried the pain of others and walked forward, even when he didn't know what the answer would be. He believed in people no matter what. No matter how much they lied to themselves, no matter how deeply they drowned themselves in hate, he never gave up on anyone. Not Gaara, not Obito, and now, not even Sasuke. And in the very end, Sasuke comes to understand that. He admits his defeat not just in battle, but in ideology. He finally sees Naruto's pain and understands it, and accepts it. He stands beside Naruto, not as opposites, but as equals. Two boys, once enemies, now holding each other up, fighting not for themselves, but for a world where they might finally find peace. A world where people could share each other's pain, help each other, and endure together. And Sasuke's final words in chapter 699 say it best. I was saved thanks to you. We were insignificant little things who used to clash, and now we can share each other's pain. I believe that concept can be applied to even bigger things than just us, but it's not something that can be done as easily as you were able to. I never imagined it would be simple, just like it wasn't with us, especially with something so big. But it's kind of like a prayer, to keep enduring no matter what, and to whom that task falls, maybe that's what it means to be a ninja. And that's exactly it. That's the exact message Naruto's story has been trying to convey this entire time. That's what Hashirama's Will of Fire was, what Hagoromo's Ninshu was, and what Naruto's resolve is. The story of Naruto is what it means to keep fighting, for understanding, for connection, and for peace. To be a ninja is not to be a weapon, but to be a bridge to peace. And wow, man, the war arc and the final stretch of the story are so good. Yeah, they're not perfect, but what is here is so incredibly good. It's so well crafted, and I just love how Kishimoto gets the message of the story across in the final arc of the show. It's really, really good. Sure, there are a few things I would have changed, especially pertaining to like the Black Zetsu stuff, but beyond that, that's just a nitpick. I love this arc so much. The Naruto War arc is really, really good. The characters, the dynamic, the themes, how it all converges, it's so good. But I want to talk about something that people seem to have a problem with in the story of Naruto, especially at the end. And that is Naruto as a character. So, the Indra and Ashura stuff. Yeah, I'm finally getting to that. Naruto is a phenomenal character. His philosophy and outlook on the world are unmatched, even within his own series. He's someone who believes in himself and the people around him, and the power of hard work, but that last part is where a lot of people have an issue with, especially as the series progresses. The theme of hard work versus talent seems to be a core thread throughout all of Naruto, and many felt that as more was revealed about Naruto's lineage, his family, and the reincarnation stuff, Naruto stopped representing that theme of hard work and talent. And I understand exactly why they feel this way. His mom was one of the most powerful Uzumaki ever. His dad was the 4th Hokage and a legendary genius, and had the 9-tailed seal inside of him, the most powerful tailed beast outside of the 10 tails. And to top all of that off, he was revealed to be the reincarnation of Ashura, the son of the Sage of the Six Paths. So yeah, I get it. All this makes it look like Naruto was destined for greatness, that he didn't have to work hard, that all of this came easy, and some may argue that Rock Lee should have been the main character of the series, since he represents the idea of hard work better than anyone. But I think that kind of misses the point. Naruto's story was never just about talent versus effort. If anything, it was about the perseverance and refusing to give up on yourself or others, no matter what's thrown at you. Naruto might have had gifts on paper, sure, but that doesn't matter. But none of that mattered unless he earned it, and he did. The 9 Tails wasn't a cheat code. It was the source of most of his trauma. It made everything harder for him. especially learning jutsu and making friends. It made people hate and fear him. It made him fall over and over again. And the only reason Kurama's power was ever useful to him was because Naruto managed to change him because of the person he was. His kindness, his refusal to be consumed by hatred, his compassion for even his enemies, that's what changed everything. That's what made Kurama help him. And the reincarnation and bloodline stuff, even characters in the story like Jiraya, Iruka, and the sage himself say it. Naruto wasn't born a prodigy. He struggled, failed, he sucked at pretty much everything when he started, and yet he never gave up. That was his true strength. Rock Lee works harder than anyone else, yeah, but he was still a genius in his own right. He was a genius of hard work. He even managed to open up more of the 8 gates than Kakashi at 12 years old. So, he wasn't untalented. He's just a different kind of genius. And if you want a full breakdown of this whole debate, you can go check out the video Swag Kage made on this topic, and he explains it in a way I could never. He explains it better than I ever could. But for me, I still love how Naruto was written. Not perfect, not by any stretch of the imagination, but I didn't really expect it to be. But what is here is very beautiful. What really pulls me in is how all the characters are written in relation to each other. Every single one feels like a mirror or contrast to someone else. Their philosophies, their pain, the way they all reflect different answers to the same questions, it's amazing. Kishimoto didn't just write a bunch of cool ninja, he wrote a notebook of ideologies that clash and mesh in really, really fascinating ways. And somehow, during the most hype and explosion-filled chakra, beast, demonic, alien battles, you still feel the emotion. You still feel the heartbreak in each of these characters. And the fights in Naruto aren't about just winning. They're about pain, they're about connection, and they hit so much harder because of it. Now, this was the part of the video where I was supposed to talk about Boruto, but this video is very long already, and honestly, I think Boruto deserves its own video in the future once Two Blue Vortex nears wrapping up or has wrapped up. But honestly, I think Boruto is kind of over-hated. I understand the anime hate since 60 to 70% of it is like filler or anime canon, but the Boruto manga is honestly a really good sequel to Naruto. I understand how Boruto can feel way too different from Naruto, but I think that's the point, and the Two Blue Vortex manga is so good. It's one of my favorite manga out right now, but I will address that in a separate video. But with all that said, as much as I really wanted to, I couldn't talk about everything I wanted to in this video. Hell, I skipped through Shikamaru's arc, and I skipped through everything with Orochimaru, I skipped through so much, but talking about an entire 700 chapter long manga and hoping to cover everything in one video is kinda pushing it, but I did talk about the things that meant the most to me, and I think I can finally answer what the original question at the beginning of this video was. This was meant to be a love letter to Naruto, the story, manga, and anime that has meant so much to me over the years. It's my favorite anime, followed by Attack on Titan and Bleach, although Dragon Ball does kind of hold like a sort of secret zero in my heart, but that's besides the point. As long as this video undoubtedly is, I got to talk about my favorite aspects of the story, even if I didn't get to touch on everything I wanted. And I can already tell you, this editing is going to test my will to live. But I just wanted to mention the music, the voice acting, their abilities, the lore, the games, and so much more. It all means so much to me. And the answer to the question at the beginning of the video, why do I love Naruto? After all, there are so many stories that have done similar things to Naruto. Stories that have better writing, stories of better pacing, better action, more consistent storyline, but for some reason, the story about the yellow-haired boy with a fox inside of him is what does it for me. I really love stories like Naruto that show the pain people go through and how they grow and develop from it. Stories about understanding other people and helping them when they stumble and not giving up on the idea that better days are coming. Stories about understanding others and doing your best to be empathetic, loving those around you and not succumbing to your instincts to hate those different from you. I'm not really sure why stories like that do it for me, but they just do. But beyond that, what I think it comes down to is art. And art, in the most simple way I can describe it, is human emotions, experiences, lives, given life in the form of drawings, music, stories, what have you. And all art aims to do is translate to the people who view it. Art is something that speaks to us in a way that not even an hour-long video can hope to come close to condensing and explaining. And the emotional core of Naruto's story is something that resonates with me. I'm not sure why it does. It's beautiful seeing a boy who had nothing grow into a man with so many people behind him and change those around him. A story about how to overcome your circumstances, trauma, and everything else when your life seems to be at its darkest. A story that always reminds me that things, as bleak as they can get, do get better. Letting what once was go and allowing myself to move forward. And like I said multiple times, Naruto isn't perfect. It has its problems, but it doesn't have to be perfect for me to love it. It has its flaws and imperfections, but that makes it feel more real to me in a way. And after writing this 18-page script on the series, I still can't sum it up in one clean answer, but at least I showed you a part of why I love Naruto.